Okay, Matt. So we are officially already a quarter of the way through the NFL season. Can't believe it. It just flies by so quickly. It feels like we just started, not too long
Honestly.
ago. And here we are already a quarter pretty much of the way through. 4 games in now. Now our teams have the same record. We kind of flipped positions, I guess you could say, from last week. How I was riding the high, you were kind of not feeling so good. Now it's teetered back a little bit more. Um, but let's get right into it as usual with your Cowboys. Looked really good and I mean helped me out, right? Beating
Yep.
an AFC East opponent in the Patriots, but really just a dominant victory again. Patriots couldn't get anything going. Offense of the Cowboys, I felt did enough, but I mean, 2 touchdowns from the defense again. Um, yeah, it's a good week to have the Dallas Cowboys defense. So, Matt, how are you feeling after 4 weeks? What do you feel about the game? Give me your take on it.
Well, after 4 weeks, I will say I feel good. I feel good. It should be 4-0, but I'll take 3-1 any day of the week to start any season in any sport. Um, this is an important game. And I know we were playing the Patriots. We're supposed to win this game. But after last week's disaster in Arizona, I needed to see how my team was going to bounce back. And I said this on the pod last week. I was like, this is important because if they come back and they take care of business, they dominate. I know what kind of team this is. They're poised to make a run deep into January, hopefully February. But if they come out, they lay an egg, they choke this game away, then I know, okay, we might have just played a couple bad teams and just got lucky with the quarterback situations, with obviously the Giants with Daniel Jones playing horrible, and you lose Aaron Rodgers for the Jets. But they did exactly what I wanted them to do. They came out, punched them in the mouth, and they didn't look back. The defense, I mean, what else can you say at this point? I mean, they scored 2 touchdowns. Deron Bland had 2 picks by himself. He now leads the NFL in interceptions since he has been in the league starting from last year. I don't know. He has a little Trayvon Diggs in him a little bit. He's kind of got that ball hawk ability. So I don't know. I mean, he's not going to be Trayvon Diggs, obviously, but that skill set, the ball hawking ability with Gilmore's kind of sound technique to kind of just lock a guy up, that was kind of what we envisioned Diggs and Gilmore to be. So at least the skill sets kind of match, and we kind of saw, some capabilities from Deron Bland to kind of hold it outside, or hold it down on the outside. But the defense was its usual self. But the only thing that I was not happy with in this game, it's kind of been the story for the Cowboys for these first 4 games and their Achilles heel. It's the red zone offense. Still not very good, I think. The play calling was just a little questionable to me. I think Mike McCarthy gets a little too cute sometimes. It's like if you're on the one, you need 1 yard. Come on, like I'm paying Pollard $10 million. Let's give him the ball. He only had 11 carries in this game, so I think you could give him a little bit of more action there. But outside of that, it was pretty good. Dak Prescott, he was good. He wasn't great, but the big thing for me with Dak is he takes care of the football. And when your defense is playing well, you play to the script of the game and you be a game manager. And Dak didn't need to be the hero. He just didn't need to make a big mistake and give the Patriots any momentum. And I thought he did a great job taking care of the ball for the most part. So I can live with this performance from Dak. But it's kind of like I'm looking ahead to next week, and everyone's kind of hyping this game up with the Dallas Cowboys going into San Fran. We kind of needed some confidence going in there because we kind of know what the San Francisco 49ers are going to be. they're going to be a force of a team the entire year. That's a given. So we needed to get back on track, and it was a good start. It was a good start in the right direction. But I do think there is some hope in the red zone offense because of this man named Hunter Lipke. No one probably knows who that is, but he is Dallas's fullback. He's the starting fullback for Dallas. And he was getting some carries late in the game, garbage time, but he's kind of a big guy. And I'm not saying he's going to be Ezekiel Elliott, but if you can use him and you give him some carries in the short yardage game, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, kind of mix him in, that's a good mix to me with Pollard, with his explosiveness, and you get a kind of power guy, grind out some yards. So if I'm Mike McCarthy, I'm going into the San Fran game. I'm trying to get Hunter Lipke 3, 4 carries in those short yardage situations. Maybe not give it to him all the time, but show it. Show that you're gonna use him. You're not afraid to empty the tank in a way in the running back room. So I'm encouraged. Um, it's going to be tough next week. It really is. I'm not going to get into the weeds of this game. The Cowboys did what they had to do, but yeah, we definitely need to improve the red zone efficiency if we're going to go up to San Fran and take care of business. I will do my best to help them. I will try to yell at Mike McCarthy to tell him what plays we should be running in certain situations. They will probably not hear me because I will be sitting way at the top in this game. But I will do my best to be a co-offensive coordinator and co-defensive coordinator for my team. Hopefully, I'm not on House of Highlights for the wrong reasons with all these fan altercations in the stadiums.
I know, yeah. You better be
But
careful wearing
yeah,
wearing
it's
your
it's
stuff
it's
in there.
it's gonna be fun. I was gonna wear my Dez jersey, like the '88. So I figured the Zeke one was kind of a bad luck because he got absolutely trucked in the playoff game last year. So I don't want to be a fool in there. So I'm going in with the 88. So hopefully CD Lamb has a big game for me in that game. But yep, they did what they had to do. Gonna keep it simple. Use Hunter Lipke more. That's what I want to see. But it's on the San Fran, and this is the game of the year in the NFL to me at this point. This is gonna be it. It's gonna be a good one. But I'm
Yeah.
happy. I'm happy.
Gonna be definitely a good one next week. Honestly though, the I will say the one thing that does concern me about the Cowboys, uh, they did a little bit better job, this week containing the run, I thought, from New England, but I just don't see it from New England, honestly. Mac Jones just did not look good. He ended up getting benched.
We made him look bad though. We did, like, he was just under duress all game.
Yeah, and I will say he doesn't have, the best weapons, like, by far. So I'm not gonna get, too hard on Mac Jones, but I just think the Patriots offense as a whole is not one of the more dangerous offenses in the league, you could say. Just like the Giants, that you guys stomped, as we saw tonight on Monday Night Football. I think Daniel Jones got sacked 11 times. They put up 3 points. So I'll just say the strength of schedule is the one thing that might concern me if I'm a Cowboys fan up until this point. The Arizona loss still a little bit concerning to me. It was good to see them bounce back though, overall, right? But I'm still waiting to see that maybe it doesn't have to be explosive, but a little bit more vertical down the field for on the offensive side of the ball. You bring in Brandon Cooks. He's known as kind of the speedster, downfield threat. He's running, fairly short routes. You still have Michael Gallup there. He's solid. And obviously CD is one of the best receivers in the league. So I'm still waiting to see that aspect. And I really think I get not turning the ball over. They're winning games. Okay, that's great. But to me, when you play teams like San Fran, they're gonna put points up as good as your defense is. There are going to be times when you're going to have to score with Philly, with the Niners. You guys play the AFC East this year, Miami and Buffalo. I think there's going to be times where you're going to need some kind of explosive plays, and that's the only thing I feel like I haven't seen yet from this offense. Granted, like I did say, they haven't had to, but that's something I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of schemes McCarthy is going to use against that Niners defense, which is legit. So it'll be a good one for sure. I hope you have a good time and don't get jumped or anything for
Yeah, at least my brother
getting
is a
too crazy.
49ers fan, so it's kind of like he's the safety net.
Okay, yeah. Well, should it be if you're all the way at the top, but it's kind of hard because sometimes the top is like the scarier parts, I feel like, because that's where, like the like no one wants to be. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it's good. I'll look for you on TV. How about that?
I don't think you'll
Um,
find me on TV.
yeah, probably not, but I'll look for
I
you
have a better
regardless.
chance of being on Twitter, Instagram, at House of Highlights.
Okay.
Being on the wrong end of it, though.
Hopefully not. Knock on wood. Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah,
Hopefully
I'll
it's a
knock
good
on
one
wood for
for you.
myself.
Hmm. Um, okay. Well, yeah, let's move on then. Talk about Dolphins a little bit. So it was probably the most hyped game of the week, I would say. The Bills and the Dolphins. Dolphins obviously coming off that 70-point outburst last week against the Broncos. Obviously, knowing that we weren't going to put up 70 points in Buffalo, hostile environment, but I was pretty disappointed. Yes, the offense, you could say, but come on, I wasn't expecting them to go, even 35 points against a good Bills defense. I was expecting touchdowns. And it was back and forth the whole first quarter. I think they said on the broadcast that it was one of the only games in NFL history, or maybe the only game where there was no incompletion in the first quarter, which is kind of insane between
Oh,
Tua and Josh
wow.
Allen. Just an absolute shootout going back and forth, marching up and down the field. I'll talk about the offense first. I don't have too much to say. I thought Tua was under duress much more this game. We kind of saw the flaws of not having Connor Williams. Teron Armstead gets hurt. Now, he's going to be out for several weeks. And yeah, Tua had been sacked twice going into this game. He was sacked four times. So, that Buffalo front is still one of the best in the league. They can get home rushing for, and yeah, really threw off some of the timing and um, overall, you know, comfort from Tua. So he had the one pick, but probably should have been two or three. A couple dropped interceptions, so got kind of lucky there. But I'm not going to really put too much on the offense. I do think they could play better. Tua could get guys a little bit more on the same page. The running game could be better. Mostert had two fumbles. Luckily, only lost one, but the other one was kind of a momentum killer right before the half. So it was a tough day for the Dolphins all around. But my main concern is the defense because I get it, right? It's Josh Allen, it's Stephon Diggs. You're in Buffalo. Okay, it's gonna be tough. James Cook has emerged as the lead back, right? They got Dalton Kincaid, already had Dawson Knox. Gabe Davis is gonna make plays, but to give up 40, was it 48 points, I believe?
48.
Can't have it. And not only was it 48, but 31 in the first half. That's like the same pace that Miami was on last week against Denver, right? Um, Instead of what, five touchdowns, it was four touchdowns and a field goal. Can't have that kind of defensive showing. Um, like you need to help your offense out a little bit, right? Like, um, the main thing that was concerning to me was the lack of a pass rush. because I mean, granted, it's Josh Allen. He's already gonna make pass rush um more of a non-factor than most quarterbacks, you could say, because of his ability to run and throw on the move. But just he had all day to throw. Where's Bradley Chubb? Jalen Phillips, okay, Jalen Phillips didn't play, but where's Christian Wilkins, who was holding out for a contract? So far, he's been betting on himself, not looking too good throughout the first 4 games, not nearly the same impact player he has been um, compared to last year. Zach Sealer, he makes some nice plays, but really it's been Andrew Van Ginkel, our linebacker, that kind of got thrust into the edge position because Jalen Phillips was out. He looked like he was having the most impact on the defensive side of the ball, getting after the quarterback. So I really want to see either a change from, Vic Fangio or someone to step up on that defensive line because we're investing, all this money in our front four and we can't get home. Okay, yeah, the Bills have, also one of the better offensive lines in the league, but if you're going to play this style of defense, we need to get home with four if you're not going to blitz. And obviously, you give Josh Allen time to throw. I mean, 4 touchdowns, 320 yards. He only had 4 incompletions the whole game, right? So it was just too easy. Missed tackles, right? Stephon Diggs had, I mean, he was feasting on Kader Kohu, our backup corner, all day. But, we need to make the tackles when they're there. We need to communicate better on defense. And I don't know, something's got to change because we can't be looking like that. Um, when we're gonna play some of these good teams, we play Kansas City, we play Dallas, we play the Eagles, right? So I think we're not doing spice levels, but I'm almost out of blazing for this Miami defense because I have really not been
That's
impressed.
a high. That's a little high just for one game, I feel like.
But really, they haven't impressed me all year. Okay, the Chargers game, right? They came up with the stop at the end when they needed to. But, Justin Herbert, oh, sorry, excuse me, not Justin Herbert. Joshua Kelly and Austin Eckler were running all over them, right? We've seen, Mac Jones and that Patriots offense against other teams, such as Dallas, right? Get held to 3 points. How did we look, against New England? Kind of let them back in the game a little bit. Defense comes up with a stop when we need it. Last week, okay, it is what it is last week. The offense couldn't be stopped. Denver was pretty deflated, you could say, in the second half, but they were still moving the ball pretty easily in that first half. So I just want to see something's got to change. We either buckle down on the run or we buckle down on the pass. We can't be, have a bad run defense and a bad pass defense. Like if we can bend but don't break, okay, fine. But you're breaking when we let people into the red zone. So that's the one thing that's been kind of concerning to me. I hope Vic Fangio and that defensive staff can figure it out. So um, we have 2 games coming up. Play the Giants, and then I believe we play the Panthers, if I'm not mistaken. So those are 2 games. Definitely need to win. Should easily take care of business, right? And be 5-1 going into Philly in week 7. So I'm not concerned about the offense. Mostert, the fumbling problem, yes. But I mean, Achan, I believe now he's going by. It was Achan. Now he's going by Achan.
Oh, really?
He,
He changed
yeah,
his name?
yeah. He said after the game, like, oh, call me Achan now. Okay, so he's Achan. Um, but he looks great. I mean, he is the burst that he has, and I told you, Matt, right? Didn't I tell you he had some special burst, and he's leading the league, or at least the AFC, I believe, in yards per carry by far. I think he's averaging like 10 yards a carry, which is ridiculous. And he has the most rushing touchdowns in the AFC. He has 6. So I mean, they're
In
coming
two
up in
games.
2 games, by the way, right? So when he gets the ball, it's dynamic. And that's probably the most encouraging thing I took from this game. Um, to see him, hit the holes with that speed, and he's also kind of elusive too. So yeah, I think real, credit to Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel for scouting him out. Um, but yeah, we shake this week off, take care of business these next 2 weeks because we saw how bad the Giants looked tonight. If we can't get a pass rush on Daniel Jones, who just got sacked 11 times, I'm at the highest blazing possible. Like I need to see at least 3 sacks, right? At least. 11, really. This Giants line is absolutely cooked right now with injuries. So I'm gonna need to see something. But other than that, we shake it off. It was a rough one. We got humbled. Good. It's always nice to get humbled a little bit early in the season, taste that, defeat, especially after the high of the previous week. So take our lessons, we learn from it, move on, and get ready for next week. So I'm not panicked at all. Buffalo's still a really good team. The Jets played them tough, but the Jets have been playing everyone tough. That defense, at least, right, as we've seen. So I think that'll be a good little transition there. We'll get to Brandon Staley after this, but we'll go Chiefs Jets first. Um, that game, Zach Wilson looked better. It was a rough, first quarter for him, but figured it out. And I have to say, Matt, I was watching the highlights. He was making some throws, like
He
legit,
looked like Aaron Rodgers in a
legit
way,
throws.
throwing off the back foot.
I agree. Yeah, and the ball placement, I thought he had a couple ones up the seam, one to the corner. You saw his athletic ability. We all knew he had that, right? To go ahead and score. I believe it was the 2 point conversion, right? I thought probably Zach Wilson's best game as of late, at
In
least.
his
I know.
career.
I mean, he's had a couple, wins before, but to me this was the most impressive because of the stakes. Sunday night, all the people watching because Taylor Swift is there. You're going against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. All the already negative energy surrounding you, they were booing him already in the first quarter. For him to come back and play the next 3 quarters, yeah, he had the fumble, but I was impressed with how he bounced back. And it seems like he's finally taking accountability, which is also, I think, a big thing. He felt bad before, he was like, oh, I don't think I should be benched or whatever. I'm going to make whoever comes in their life hell, right? He's saying all this, but it seems like he finally got humbled a little bit. And I thought, yeah, played a really good game overall. I don't know, Matt. What do you think of Zach Wilson's performance?
I mean, I think this was his best performance of his career. Maybe not the win, but he outplayed Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. I thought Patrick Mahomes, he
That's
was pretty
probably the
bad. He
worst
was
game
pretty
of his. I
bad.
don't think I've
Like,
ever seen him play that
he
poorly
looked
after the
bad.
first after the first quarter. Yeah, I mean, just bad decisions, bad throws that you don't usually see from him.
He should have
So
had 3 picks in this game, but it got called away or called back because of a controversial holding penalty by Sauce Gardner. You can debate that. I can see it both ways, but still, yet like that throw, double coverage, you can't really get away with that all the time. So yeah, Patrick Mahomes got to do a better job of taking care of the ball. But Zach Wilson, on the other hand, outside of that fumble, he was flawless. Honestly, he was flawless. And we were talking about this last week, and we were like, what do the Jets need to do? Who do they need to get? I think I said they got to get Carson Wentz or something like that. They need a quarterback that's going to bring some splash plays. Well, I might have to eat my words on that one because I think this performance kind of solidifies Zach Wilson into the rest of the season, I feel like. Because you're now a quarter of the way through the season. It's kind of like, and the trade deadline is at the end of the month. I think now it's kind of the time where you figure out, okay, we're either going this way or this way. And it seems like Robert Sala is sticking with Zach Wilson. I think he's confident in him. I think he said, "Oh, if Zach Wilson plays like this, we're going to win a lot of football games." And truthfully, I he if he plays somewhat like this, they can they can win some games because we know what their defense is capable of doing. So I'm actually cheering for Zach Wilson because I like the fact what you said. He takes accountability for the loss. I don't even blame him for the loss, to be honest. But to see that from your quarterback, the maturity and the growth from a young kid who was really an eye guy. Now he's all about the team, doing whatever it takes to win. That's the kind of guy you cheer for in this league. So I'll tip my hat to him this week. He earned my respect in this game. So I think the Jets found their answer. If that answers our, what is it, 4 week long question of what do the Jets need to do now that Aaron Rodgers is gone, I think that's their answer. It's Zach Wilson or bust at this point.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I'm cheering for Zach Wilson because I think it's a good story, and but as a Dolphins fan, I hope he doesn't do too good. I'll just say that. I hope he can win some games for them, kind of improve a little bit, but I don't want
I
to
mean, you
see
can
them
kind
in the
of, you
picture.
don't have to panic that, but it's between the Dolphins and the Bills. I
Yeah,
think everybody
yeah,
knows that.
yeah. I think so, but I'm gonna be honest. We're only a quarter of the way through. We still have 13 games to go. A lot of football left. I really think if Zach Wilson can play this type of football, limit the turnovers, you know, be in not even really a game manager mode because we saw he can make some elite level throws when he has to, but play with confidence, like everyone's been saying, take care of the football. You put up 20 to 24 points every game. You're not going to be playing the Chiefs every week. You do have to play Miami and Buffalo twice. You're going to have to put up points there, but the rest of the games, I think your defense is that good. You can hold teams to under 20 points. So you put up 20, 20, low 20 points, you have a good chance of being in every single game you're going to play. So definitely, I think it was a positive step moving forward for the Jets. But let's just talk about the penalties real quick. You brought up the one penalty of the interception, and after seeing a couple videos, I thought it was interesting at the timing of the flag. I don't know if you saw some of those videos, right? The ref didn't throw the flag until, a couple steps after the defender had picked off the ball. Yeah, that's a little bit sketchy. And after following the Chiefs for several years, I must say there are times when I feel like they do get a little bit of a break when Patty Mahomes is
Yep.
out there.
Yep.
A couple calls, late in the game, something that helps swing the game. And to me, the more egregious one was the 3rd and 22. And, he goes to scramble for 24 yards, picks up the first down. They show, I believe it's the Jets rookie edge rusher. He's getting
Jermaine
help.
Johnson.
Jermaine Johnson. He's getting blatantly held. Like his jersey, you can see the tug on his jersey. His hand is up in the air. You know, Pretty obvious hold to me. That's like textbook hold because you see the jersey stretching from the offensive line, but there's no call. Patrick Mahomes able to get the first down, and yeah, to me that's a little bit. That one was a little bit fishy. Don't like to see that, and I know I don't like to blame games on the refs, but you got to be good in those situations. You got to see everything, and you got to throw the flag when it's a flag. So yeah, I'm not gonna go blame Zach Wilson too much, but if I was a Jets fan, I'd be pretty upset at how the officiating went at the end.
Yeah, and to say one more point on that, I think it's very frustrating when it's a play that's very, it takes a long time to develop, like the scrambles by Mahomes. It's not like it's like a 2 second read, he gets the ball out quick. Okay, there's a holding or a missed holding call. It's like, he's sitting in the pocket trying to scramble. That's like what, 8, 9 seconds of time. So it's like, how do you not catch that in that span of time? And it's so obvious. So that's the thing that I would be frustrated if I was a Jets fan.
Yeah,
Just the time of the play, just too long. You got to catch that.
I agree. Well, anyway, it is what it is. Sorry, just fans. But let's move on to one of our almost weekly topics at this point. We should make it a whole segment. What did Brandon Staley do this week?
We gotta think of
Like,
a slogan like Staley's
yeah,
like something. We gotta
I
it's
don't, I
I
don't
don't know. We
get
gotta think of a name.
like, truthfully, the Chargers could be 0-4 right now. Honestly, if it wasn't for their defense bailing them out 2 weeks in a row. You think after the Minnesota game, when you faced all that criticism, you wouldn't do it again, right? Lo and behold, Brandon Staley does not care. He goes for it again on his own side of the field, 4th and 1. Keep in mind, I believe Justin Herbert had already fractured his finger at this point. So he's not even 100% holding the ball with two hands. So you run a quarterback sneak. I don't know if that's Kellen Moore or Brandon Staley. One
That's
of
Kellen
you.
Moore. That's Kellen Moore because Brandon Staley is a DC at nature. That's Kellen Moore. That's all Kellen Moore
I
calls.
okay, yeah, I get it, right? Like Justin Herbert's a big dude. He's 6'6", but he has a fractured middle left finger. How are you? What are you doing? I I digress.
I'm so
Anyway,
glad he's not my OC.
Anyway, the decision to me is just so egregious because after that, right, the Raiders, led by a rookie quarterback, by the way, who got sacked 6 times just by Khalil Mack, almost an NFL record, um, and had what, 3 fumbles. Your defense bails you out by getting the pick at the end. And I just wanted to allude to the coaching again. Asante Samuel, okay, he picks off the ball, right? But he slides. There's still 2.5 minutes left, and the Raiders have timeouts plus the 2-minute warning. So, if of all times to run down the sideline, that's one of those times. You know, you slide, and lo and behold, you give the Raiders one more chance again at the end of the game. So, just another point on coaching the defense. I don't know, letting up even 17 points with 3 turnovers and 6 sacks against a rookie quarterback as a, DC minded head coach. I can't keep coming up with. I was being nice before, honestly, but I'm running out of excuses for this guy. I'm not a big Justin Herbert fan, but if I'm Justin Herbert, I'd be pissed that this guy's my coach. Honestly, like the decisions never seem to go his way, and he just keeps on doing it over and over, putting his team in positions to lose. I can't. I don't know. That's my little rant on the whole thing. But yeah, you go ahead, Matt.
I'm gonna call this segment. I was thinking it can be Staley's Shenanigans. So
Staley Shenanigans. All right, I like that.
Okay, that's our name because we're probably gonna have this similar conversation next week at this point.
It
But
they really
honestly,
could be owned
it
for
was the same thing. The same thing.
exact
You're
same
up.
situation.
I think the Raiders had one timeout at this
Hmm.
point. Punt the ball. It's not even Jimmy G. And even if it
It's
was Jimmy G,
your defense has been playing well the whole game.
uh
You forced 3 fumbles, getting after the quarterback. It just baffles me. It
yeah.
baffles
And
me.
that it's crazy. And the thing that's frustrating too, those kind of decisions, like Staley, he was Sean McVay's DC with the Rams, so he's a defensive coach by nature. So it's like, in your heart, it's like you kind of want to win with your defense and have a good
Or at
defensive
least
showing.
trust your defense,
Right.
right?
But he's a defensive coach at heart. So it's like I feel like that has to be an emphasis of a defensive minded coach, especially as a head coach to me. So it's like if you can't trust your defense to win the game against a backup quarterback who looked horrible, and oh, by the way, your guy had 6 sacks. Khalil Mack had 6 sacks in the game. Like, you just shouldn't be a coach at that point. Honestly, just to be honest. And you said it all. Justin Herbert, he's banged up. It's not, and they need a touchdown again. It's the same thing. They need a touchdown. They don't need a field goal. They need a touchdown to tie at this point. Last week, they needed a touchdown to win, but they need a touchdown just to tie the game. And you're at home. Like, come on. This the
I
same situation. It was literally the same situation 1 week ago. And it's worse at this point because you went from Kirk Cousins to Aiden O'Connell. No disrespect to Aiden O'Connell, but Kirk Cousins is better at this point of his career. And this man struggled in the game. Unacceptable. It's funny to talk about because you get really into it. We both really get into it. But if I'm a football fan, it must be hard for a Chargers fan right now. It's hard. It's hard. So I don't know. What are we gonna talk about next week? Is he
he's
gonna go
probably
for
gonna
it
do
on
the
fourth
same.
and five
It's
on his own
probably
20?
probably the same thing is gonna happen again. Like I think, well, luckily they have a bye, so we won't be talking about
Oh,
them.
they'd have a bye.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have a week to not talk about the Chargers. So Justin Herbert can let his finger heal because he's gonna. I mean, I don't know. Pretty soon, that brace on his middle finger is gonna not. It's gonna be straight without a brace pretty soon. He's just gonna be flipping off Brandon Staley like the whole time. Honestly, like I'm he's just gonna keep the brace on and have that, be his scapegoat. Oh, sorry, coach. It's my brace. Don't like
Oh man, you are laying into him
I'm
today.
just saying, I have been, understanding the past several years. Like, if that's how you're gonna play football, okay, fine. But after several years of this not working, I'm not even talking about the playoff collapse. You let up one of the biggest comebacks in NFL playoff history, then come back and, get torched by Miami, right? You can't, your team doesn't come through against the Titans, and then you make two potential game losing decisions, get bailed out by your defense, and it's just like it doesn't change. Like, okay, if that's your philosophy and it works, you've seen it work, there's a history of it working, so be it. Fine. Kudos to you. But it's the fact that it doesn't work and you're getting bailed out. It's not like, okay, yeah, we won the 2 weeks in a row, but it's not because of those plays. It's because your defense stepped up and stopped the other team on short fields. So that's the part to me where it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know what is being, discussed in that building. That just doesn't make any sense to me, Matt. And that's why I feel for Justin Herbert, and I'm not even the biggest Justin Herbert fan. That's all. So I feel bad for him. I would be frustrated if I was a Chargers fan. Yeah, anyway. Let's get to a break though, Matt. Quick NFL stuff I want to finish up on the other side. But yeah, that Brandon Staley stuff got me too worked up. I need a break. So we'll take a break and we'll come right back after this. Okay, so simmer down a little bit from the Brandon Staley
Ooh,
stuff.
that was a heated discussion. Well, mainly by
I
you.
that one just I it's been we've been talking about the same thing for too long. That's it. So let's wrap up some of the NFL stuff. Another kind of concerning game, I guess, for one of the teams we thought would definitely be contenders. Titans against the Bengals. Titans dominate the Bengals at 27-3. And it's been 4 games now, Matt. Okay, yes, Joe Burrow is not healthy, but you know, the NFL season waits for no one to be healthy, right? I think it's definitely if we were doing blazing level or spice levels, I think we'd both give them a blazing because now you're 1-3 in the AFC. Your division's already tough, but the rest of the AFC is pretty tough as well. So you're fighting for a wild card seat at this point. And the thing that's concerning to me, Matt, is we still, through 4 weeks, have yet to see this offense look like the offense it has in the past. They still have all the same people. Okay, T. Higgins, yeah, goes out with an injury, but still got Jamar Chase. You still got Joe Mixon, same coaching staff, right? Just really unimpressive so far. And to me, Matt, I don't think if this keeps up for another week or two, they're out of the playoffs to me. They do not look like a playoff team because they have no identity on offense, right? Joe Burrow is, hobbling around out there. Joe Mixon, I still think you got to feed him. You got to trust in your defense because your defense, I think their defense is actually not bad, honestly. Um, I
They
think
got
their
pass
defense is,
rushers. They got pass
yeah,
rushers.
yeah,
Trey Hendrickson, Hubbard.
they got guys, right? So you got to trust in your defense a little bit more and shift the explosive downfield stuff and take this, what's given to you. You play through Joe Mixon right now. Let him be the guy that we've seen, what he can do in the past. Yeah, it's hard when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. You want to spread the ball out, but I think we've seen 4 weeks now. You got to go through Joe Mixon. Joe Burrow just isn't healthy enough right now to be moving around in the pocket, to drop back 40 times a game. And I don't know, Matt. I'm already concerned. They already are out of the playoffs in my mind in the AFC. There's too many good teams, I feel like. Um, but do you think anything can change at this point? Because what are they going to do besides, change up their game plan a little bit? Uh, I don't think their schedule gets any easier. Their division is already really tough. They have to play the Niners and the Bills on their schedule. So I think it's looking pretty bad for the Bengals.
It's concerning, and the only thing that I can see them doing is what you said. It's got to be the Joe show, but not Joe Burrow. It's got to be Mixon. And we talked about this for 2 years. We've done this podcast. The Bengals offense is at their best when Joe Mixon is running the ball well. And right now, he I don't think he's hit 20 carries except for their one win, which was the Rams game, right? So, if Joe Mixon gets 20 touches, good things happen. But if he gets 10 to 20, not so much. Maybe I should look into that if I'm a coach. But you got a hobbled quarterback who's clearly not himself. So
He just,
I gotta, I
yeah.
mean, I know I'm 1-3. There's what, 13 games? 13, yeah, 13
13
games
games
left
to
in the
go.
season. Do I just sacrifice 1 week to have him sit out and then just come back the next game and just pray that he's a little bit healthier? Like, is that something you consider? Because personally, I would. I'm not looking at their schedule right now, but if I can get Joe Burrow 50% better by sitting out 1 week to have him play a little better for the rest of the season, then I don't know. I might just sacrifice one game and just pray that the Bengals get hot again down the stretch, like we've seen them do last year. So that's something that I would consider. But if you do that, obviously you're not going to throw the ball around. So you got to go through Joe Mixon. I don't think you're going to ask Jake Browning to throw the ball 40 times a game. Of course not. So if I'm the Bengals, the two things that I just said kind of all points back to playing through Joe Mixon. And if that's the case, that takes pressure off Joe Burrow. He's not mobile enough at this point. Make it easier for him. I feel like they're putting too much on his plate because, yeah, he just signed the biggest NFL contract, in history. We got to make him the man. Nah, like he just needs to be the man when he needs to be the man, right? When the game's close, that's when Joe Burrow turns into Joe Shiesty and does his thing. That's what we paid him to do, not to lose games. So I don't know. But going back to the Joe Burrow thing, I would seriously consider sitting him out for a week if that's going to make him a little bit healthier for the rest of the season, just so I can get a push, a shot. But I would be concerned. I would be very
Well,
concerned.
the interesting part is they play Arizona next week, and definitely a winnable game. But Arizona, as we have seen, in these first four games, they're no easy out anymore. They still got guys. They're still going to compete, and if you don't go put your best foot forward, okay, maybe you come away with a loss there, honestly. But yeah, it's tough. I think these next few weeks are going to determine if you are still contending or maybe even you just tank. Like, could you imagine though? They lose a couple more games in a row. They're what, 1-6, right?
Oh, if you get to
And
six, you're done. One and
yeah,
six, you're
so
done.
well, if you get to 1-5, 1-6, like what do you really do at that point as an organization that was just in the Super Bowl? You're in the AFC Championship last year. Maybe you just shut down Joe Burrow for the whole season. I don't know, but I think Cincinnati, as much as they don't want to, they need to try to win now. And if Joe can play, I think you just gotta play him because I
So
think
you're
he gives you
opposite
your
of
best
me
chance.
then.
I'm just a little bit opposite because if you fall too much behind, like that's it. This AFC is tough. The whole AFC South is 2-2. No one was expecting that. AFC East, you got Buffalo and Miami, maybe the Jets if Zach Wilson plays decent football. And look in your own division. Baltimore and Cleveland. You know, Kenny Pickett goes down, so we don't know how the Steelers are going to be, but you got Baltimore and Cleveland in your own division that are looking really tough. So if you fall, too many games behind, uh, it's kind of looking real rough for Cincinnati. Maybe you got to consider shutting it down halfway through the season, which is not something I think anyone would have expected. But if you're sitting at 1-6, yeah, like I said, you lose 3 games in a row. It, I don't know what you do that with that. Um, but yeah, something's got to change for Cincinnati. Hopefully, they can get back on track because I think the league is better if Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are playing winning football. So on the flip side, though, the Titans get a big win, and now one of the most interesting divisions in all of football, the AFC South, Matt. Every single team is 2-2. We both, just like a lot of people, thought Jacksonville was going to run away with this division. Rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson, rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud. We don't know what we get with the Titans. Well, we kind of know what we get. They're going to run the football and play good defense. Can Ryan Tannehill do enough in clutch times to win games? That is another thing that needs to be said. But CJ Stroud, very impressive. Uh, Anthony Richardson, when he is played, looks pretty impressive. Athletically, he looks like a freak as a quarterback. And Jacksonville, kind of this up and down, week to week team. They're not really a consistent team at this point. So I gotta ask you, Matt. We're a quarter of the way through. Who do you like to come out on top in this division?
Ooh. I'm still gonna stick with the Jags because I trust Trevor Lawrence the most. But I gotta say, I think the NFC South might have the two best, or not, AFC South might have the two best rookie quarterbacks in this class. CJ Stroud looks pretty, to me, he looks the best. Anthony Richardson looks pretty good as well. So I don't know. It's not going to be a cakewalk maybe for the Jacksonville Jaguars for the next 5 to 7 years to win the division, but I'm still going to take the Jags. It's 4 games into the season. I'm not going to panic just yet. They're 2-2. They should take care of business, I think, just because of Trevor Lawrence. He's the most experienced, and I'm just going to ride on that fact. And he got two rookie quarterbacks in your division, and you got Ryan Tannehill. I don't think anybody really trusts him, to be honest. So that's my conclusion. I got the best quarterback on my team. I should win the division.
I agree. I think just like you, I'm gonna still be leaning Jacksonville just because of the experience factor. Doug Peterson, has been there, done that. They have a lot of vets on their team. They still have I really like their weapons on offense a lot. Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, ETN, Evan Ingram had a great year last year. I still like what they have, but you know, I have this weird, sneaky feeling, Matt. The one team that I think could be in the hunt coming down the stretch is no Houston.
Oh,
I'm actually riding with Houston. I was gonna say the Colts. Um, I think they're gonna be interesting if a certain
Taylor.
running back, yeah,
Well, he's at
comes
practice now.
back, which is yep, he's rumored to be back at practice, maybe looking to come off the PUP list. So I don't know. That could add a whole nother dynamic. You have an Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor duo back there, but the only reason I'm gonna say Houston is because I mean CJ Stroud honestly has impressed me so much throughout this first quarter. Like you said, we're only 4 games in, but he's been you know turnover free, no picks. He has the record now, starting a career with pass attempts without a pick. He's looked really good. He's spreading the ball around to Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Their defense is doing enough. They held Pittsburgh to what 6 points, I believe, this last game. So I don't know. Something about CJ Stroud, he's impressed me. I see his post game stuff. He sounds confident. He sounds comfortable. Sounds like he is a leader and takes charge in that locker room. And maybe they won't win the division, but I think to me, they're the team right now that can kind of, propel themselves up with a couple wins here. I'm just going to look at their, just based on their schedule, Matt. I see a lot of winnable games in their next, 4 or 5 schedules, even looking down the line. They play the Falcons. I think that's a winnable game. The Saints have looked, pretty up and down throughout this period of time. They get Bryce Young and the Panthers, who have not looked good. They get the Cardinals and they get the Broncos. So it's a lot of winnable games outside of their division. And I think, that strength of schedule might help them a little bit if CJ Stroud continues to play at this level. So Houston is my dark horse team in that AFC South. I still can't get off the Jags, bandwagon just yet. You could say front runner Jags right now. But to me, if there's a team, it's going to be Houston because D'Amico Ryan, like what he's been doing so far, defensive minded guy, right? But just CJ Stroud has really impressed me. So if he can keep that up, spreading the ball around, I think Houston is the scary team for me right now. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, okay. Well, let's wrap NFL. That was good talk. We still got to get to the big basketball trade. We haven't talked basketball in a little bit, but you know, our guy, Mr. Damian Lillard, Dame Dollar,
Dala.
Dame time, as we have gotten, to see him grow in our years in Portland, really becoming one of our favorite players just by, getting to see him do his thing night in and night out. And for a Portland team that he was really loyal to for a long time, I don't have, any problem. Personally, I didn't have a problem with how he handled everything. I thought he should have been traded long time ago. I thought he could have asked for a trade a long time ago, and I still wouldn't have been upset because he really did a lot for the city of Portland. You know, put Portland on the map. It's always nice when it's a small market and you have a superstar like that to kind of put your team on the map. Got to saw one of his Dame time buzzer beaters against my Lakers, several years ago. And I don't think we'll ever forget the OKC shot when we were all watching that game, to send the Thunder home. So a lot of good memories there. Um, but now he gets to go to maybe the now is the favorite to win the finals with Giannis in Milwaukee. So I don't know. Yeah, Joe Cronin, after they didn't get the Miami thing done, Dame kind of wanted to come back, but he said, "Nope, you're not coming back. You don't want to be here. You're not coming back." I don't know if I would agree with that. but hey, props to him. I think they got a pretty good haul. Um, Starting fresh a little bit, you get Drew, you get Aiton, you get a first round pick and a couple pick swaps. Now it's the Scoot and Anthony and Shaden Sharp show. So, what did you think, Matt? What was your initial reaction to the news?
I didn't see a trade to the Bucks. I don't think there was any talk. It was all Miami. Oh, the Raptors are sneaking in now. They might be the front runners. Maybe the Blazers are gonna get Scotty Barnes or Pascal Siakam or something. So I was shocked. I was shocked. But the haul that they got as a whole, once the Drew Holiday trade, they swapped him to Boston. They got a lot. they got a lot for one guy in a sense, and that's what they should get for all NBA, a generational type of talent in Dame Dollar. So I think the Blazers aspect, they did a great job. And let me point out, they upgraded at center. I think that's huge. I know we're in a rebuild.
Oh, here we go.
We're in a rebuild. We're in a rebuild. We're not, I'm not gonna make the playoffs or anything, but we gotta start somewhere. And the way that the league is kind of shifted, if you don't have a Jokic and Embiid, I want athletic bigs to protect the rim and play defense. And DeAndre Ayton, yes, the work ethic is kind of, in question, but his press conference sounded pretty positive. It sounds like he's excited for the fresh start. He wants to be a leader on this team. And if he's engaged, he can give you 20 and 10 a night and he can defend the rim. And they got Robert Williams, who's a great player, by the way. I loved him on the Celtics. He was such a good fit. So for them to steal that or steal him from the Celtics, that's a pretty good backcourt or not backcourt, front court protecting your rim. And not trying to make Nurkic feel bad or anything, but that's just not what he's good at. And the NBA, to me, you need athletic bigs at this point to guard 1 through 5, right? Because there's so many switching now. You got big guards on the perimeter. You got to be able to guard 1 through 5. And Nurkic, let's just be honest, he's a horrible defender. He's horrible. He's a horrible defender. And what did the Blazers struggle at the most? Defense. Blazers could always score. You always had Dame, you got CJ, you got Ant, right? All these guards, you can score, you can put up points, but we couldn't stop anybody. Protect the rim. And that's just not Nurkic. And that's why I just wanted him out. In the midst of the playoff runs we had, he was the weak link to me. He was Jokic's backup for a reason, and we traded him to be a starter. That's why he's a backup. He was Jokic's backup for a reason. So I like the haul that they got. Obviously, the picks, great, great, great assets right there. But for Dame's side, I'm happy for him. I have no hard feelings for him. I know he wrote his song, came out farewell, kind of took a shot at Joe Cronin a little bit in the Blazers, but I hope he wins this year. If it's not LeBron, I hope Dame wins because
I will second that.
he deserves it. He really does. He's given a lot to the city of Portland, and for both of us, right? We went to school in Portland. We got to see Dame in his prime, you could say, his glory days, the golden era of Portland Trailblazer basketball outside of the 90s. We got to see that. So I'm happy for him. I'm truly happy for Dame that he has a chance to play. He's not the best player on his team, which is crazy. So
Yeah, that is a crazy thing.
he's got a chance to win. But the Blazers
it's
are
so
good. The
interesting.
Blazers are going to be good, I think. Give them 3 years. You get
Oh
the young
yeah,
talent develop, and then you're going to get the haul of draft picks to top off that. The future's bright. The future's
I
bright.
think it was definitely a win-win for both teams in that trade, just because Milwaukee, you can tell, is in that win now mode, and it's tough losing Drew. I get it, because of how elite of a defender he is. He affects the game in so many ways, but I think we saw when uh Chris Middleton went down, they really, really lacked that second option. And don't get me wrong, Drew can put points up, right? He can put points up, but it's not he's not in that upper echelon of guards when it comes to scoring the ball. In the guards, he's probably the best, if not one of the best on ball defenders, help defenders in the league. But when it comes to scoring, he's not in the Steph, he's not in the Luka, he's not in the Kyrie, in the Dame, echelon. That's just how it is, right? And so you add that in, and it really, to me, doesn't harm the Bucks defensively as much as I thought because you still have Giannis. Chris Middleton is known as, kind of a two-way guy, and you have Brooks Lopez anchoring the paint. So now it's like, Dame, he doesn't have to be the best defender, you know. Uh if he lets, if you close out on guys and guys want to take it in the paint, go ahead. Giannis and Brook is waiting. Still got
And
Bobby
Bobby
Portis.
Portis. Yeah.
Yeah, you still got Bobby Portis. I believe they do still have Jay Crowder. I don't know what the whole situation on that is. But I believe he's still on the roster. I think did they resign or
They
is
got
Pat
Pat
Connaughton
Connaughton's on the team.
coming back as well? He's an athletic guy that can play defense. Dame is familiar with him. And so I really like the team that Milwaukee has built right now. To me, they're the favorites in the East, clear cut favorites in the East over the Heat. To me, still over the Celtics. Because I'm with you. I think the loss of Robert Williams is pretty big. So I'm gonna have to, you know, give my nod to the Bucks on that one. Um, let's see. Hold on. So also though, the Suns, I think they got pretty deep. Um, Not the Nurkic one as much, but
They're worse
pick up some role
defensively.
players. Pick up some role players. We were saying, oh, they have no depth, but now they got Utah. They got Grayson Allen, Nasir, who I think can play a little bit. Keon Johnson, right? So I don't know. To me, the Suns also did pretty well in this trade to kind of get the depth that they need behind KD, Beal, and Book. So yeah,
I
it's
think
gonna
so.
be man, the West to me though, it's so loaded. I
I think the East is loaded. I mean, you got now Milwaukee, you got Miami still, you got the
Well, the
Celtics,
East is really top heavy, right? The East is really, really top heavy. It's what
Sixers,
Sixers, Celtics, Bucks,
Heat.
Heat.
Yeah.
That's really the teams we're talking about, right? Um, but to me, the West, like 1 through 10, 11, right? Kings came out of nowhere last year. They, are serious. Golden State's bringing guys back. They got CP. We'll see how that experiment works out. Timberwolves, you got Ant, who's blossoming into a superstar. Um, Denver, obviously, reigning champs. I don't know, but I still really like the Lakers, Matt. Just because of the moves we made and the guys we were able to bringing back D'Lo, Austin Reeves, Rui. I thought those are huge pieces. But my favorite signing has been the Christian Wood signing to give us a little bit of depth at center, or play him at the five and let AD go do his thing at the four. Either way, I just think overall it's really good for the Lakers to contend in a really really tough West. Like let's be honest, the West is going to be tough this year. I think outside of four teams, if the Pelicans get Zion back, they were a number one seed at the time, right? The Grizzlies, they got Jaw. They still got they lose Mr. Brooks, but you still got Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson. I'm looking at the West. It just every team has a chance. 1 through you could say 11 or 12 has a chance to make the playoffs. And every game is going to count in the regular season now. with the depth that the Lakers got, I think that'll help them clinch a top six seed. Um, so I don't know. I'm excited for basketball to start. It's almost that perfect time of the year for sports fans. So we got NFL going on, almost playoff baseball, and basketball starting up soon. Right.
That's right.
So
The golden
yeah,
era of
the
sports.
golden era. So speaking of playoff baseball, Matt, we are now kicking off our I believe the NLDS kicks off tomorrow. So
The
is it?
wild
Oh no,
card. The wild
sorry.
card.
The wild card games kick off tomorrow. Uh, Rangers at the Rays, Blue Jays at the Twins, Diamondbacks at the Brewers, and the Marlins at the Phillies. So we'll do a quick preview here. I'll get to my Dodgers after. I want to get to some of these games first, Matt. How about we just pick our wild card winners first of all?
Okay.
Each one. I can go first. Out of the AL, to me, it's got to be, and this is close, but it's got to be the Rays, and I'm gonna give the nod to the Blue Jays. Coming out in the AL, and then I got uh, let's see, I think it's the Brew. It's got to be the Brewers and the Phillies for me. For those two, and yeah. And I don't know. To me, just a little bit more experience on both sides. It's going to be the difference for me. So that's why I'm rocking with the Rays, Jays, Brewers, and the Phillies. Yeah,
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't want to sound boring, but I would say the same thing. But I think the Rays Rangers series is
that would be a fun
that's
one.
a I think that's the most entertaining for sure. I think the Rays win though, just solely because of the fact of the Rangers were in first place. I think it said like 150 something days. They were in first place and they lose their lead on the last day of the regular season. So you go from having you defeat the Astros, you dethrone them, you make them kind of grind it out in the wild card round. You could have had a week off in a sense. You set up your pitching rotation for the NL or the ALDS. You get the home field advantage in that round too. And now, not only you're going on the road, you gotta play a tough Tampa Bay team. And oh yeah, if you win, I gotta go on the road again, and I gotta play the best team in the AL in this season in the Orioles. So just a total like mindset. It's like wow, like we were so close to setting ourselves up for a good playoff run, but now you're in the weeds of it, or you don't want to be in a sense for a team that was in first place for that long, and now you got a wild card division series. Like it's just a grind at this point. So I think the Rays win because they were kind of locked in to this spot for quite some time, I would say. So they were kind of they're more mentally prepared to me. But I think the Rays win. I think the Blue Jays win. The Twins, they just got in because they play in the worst division in baseball. Let's put it that way. I think the Blue Jays get out of that one. The Brewers D backs, I think this one should be a game or a series that you should be paying attention to because the winner of that series will be headed to LA on Saturday. I think the Brewers, I don't know. You can talk about this in your preview. The Brewers scare me because of their pitching rotation.
Mhm.
But the D backs, if it's the D backs Dodgers, division rivalry, the D backs have nothing to lose. It's scary when you play teams like that. But I think the Brewers come out just because of their pitching. And they've been playing good baseball for the past maybe month and a half, I think. They kind of took a big jump over Cincinnati when they were kind of on the hot streak. So I like the Brewers there. And then, like you said, the Phillies. This team, this is a dangerous wild card team. They did it last year. They went to the wild card, went all the way to the World Series. Wouldn't shock me if they do it again, to be honest. I know they got the winner of this one goes to Atlanta. Tough matchup, but the Phillies are built for another run, and I think they take care of business against Miami.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with you. Just to get on the Brewers Diamondbacks one, if I've learned anything, it's to be scared of all teams. Don't care if they're a wild card team because I've had my heart broken in again, by the Nationals. It when they went on to win the World Series, I thought, we're gonna roll the Nationals. Nope. Juan Soto said, nope, I'm winning a ring at what 21 years old. Um, fast forward to the Braves. And then last year, the most disgusted I felt losing to the Padres in the playoffs made me sick to my stomach. So glad they are not in the playoffs this year. That makes me feel great. But either team, I'm going to be nervous. I'll just be honest for each of the reasons you said. Diamondbacks, they're young. They got nothing to lose. They're going to play free. The Brewers, they got a hell of a pitching staff, and we do not have the arms to match. We got some good rookies, but we're relying on rookies, and that is why I am so nervous, regardless of what happens. Right? We're gonna have to out hit everybody, and in the playoffs, pitching matters. So I'm a little bit nervous, Matt. I'm not gonna lie, um, but it's the playoffs, so twofold, right? Anything can happen. Maybe this goes down in history as the Dodgers rookies get remembered. The next, dare I say, if all goes well, they could be the next 90s Braves pitching staff. That would be a great
Okay,
thing to
that's a
have.
that's a little extreme with the expectations there based on the regular season. I mean,
Okay,
they're
okay,
good.
okay, but
They had
they
flashes.
they win the World Series, and each of those three guys impressed. Hey, that could be, it'll go down as the legend of the Dodgers rookies. So obviously that's very far-fetched and very unlikely to happen. But I'm just trying to stay optimistic, going into the playoffs. We have good energy. What do I always say in March and April, Matt? It's only April. It's only May. It's only June. But I always say it matters when it comes to October. And we're here. So now it's time for me to start sweating, for me to start stressing, because one of us is gonna have to this year. Um, you
I'm not
know,
sweating. I'm
I
not
know,
sweating
I
this
know.
year. I don't know
So
what to do.
that's why I
I
said
don't know what to do with myself.
you can enjoy just hop on the fan bandwagon and cheer
Mm,
for the Dodgers because you're not gonna want to cheer for any of the AL teams either. So
that's
um
true.
yeah, but real quick, Matt, World Series preview. I'll give you my realistic one. How about that? My realistic World Series preview. Um, I'm gonna have to go with Atlanta because they have been so consistent all year. Just 1 through 9. The Dodgers have had some loaded rosters as of recent years, but the numbers that the Braves put up this year, absolutely disgusting. I think they slugged 500 as a team, which is the most ludicrous thing ever. Like for them to do that, um, I can't get over how good they're all playing, how good they've hit all year. They have the speed too with Acuna on the base. Like I don't know. Spencer Strider, yeah, okay. He hasn't been the best pitcher, but we know he has the elite stuff. Uh Bolstered up their bullpen. Kirby Yates is down there. So I don't know. It's gotta be Atlanta for me in the NL. The AL is a coin flip. Um on it, if I'm being honest. I could see it going to anyone really. But if I had to pick one, unfortunately, I think it's good to somehow be Houston again. I don't know how. I just have a weird feeling. They're just a playoff team. I hate to admit it, but yeah, to me, it's got to be Houston and Atlanta, and I think Atlanta's going to win. So that's my realistic one. My hopeful one is the Dodgers get the revenge against Houston, but yeah, I my brain is saying Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean it's so hard to pick against Atlanta. I would say the same, but to kind of go into a little more detail, I think Atlanta's going to win the NL, but I'm going to assume the Phillies beat the Marlins. Atlanta plays Philadelphia. That goes 5 games, grinds it out. I think whoever wins that series, assuming the Phillies beat the Marlins, is going to get out of the NL. I think the Phillies they're truly dangerous. And it's really unfortunate that they're matching up in the DS because I feel like the Braves and the Phillies. That should be the CS matchup to me because I would have said the Dodgers, but I think that Urias loss is just a backbreaker in the long run. That would have been the matchup, the Dodgers, the Braves. That was the battle of the Titans. But the loss of Urias just took a blow for me to pick the Dodgers. So I'll pick the Braves. And yes, sadly, I'm going to have to pick the Astros solely from the fact that they got the division win. I truly don't think the Astros would have made it out of the wild card if they played the Rays. I think the Rays are dangerous. They're going to make noise. Don't be surprised if Tampa is in the championship series because as much as I'd like Baltimore, they don't have Bautista. I think that's such a huge loss for them. The best closer in baseball this year. You need that guy in the late games to lock it down because that's all playoff baseball is. It's high leverage situations. And for you to not have your closer, your best pitcher, you can't win. You can't win. So I think the Astros and the Braves, and I think the Braves, I think they steamroll them to be honest, because I think the Braves are just the best team in baseball right now. It's really no other way to put it. Acuna is going to win MVP, and that's saying something because Mookie Betts had a pretty darn good year too. But not to sound like a broken record, but I have to agree with you. I really do. But there's some interesting teams. Don't sleep on those Braves. I mean, don't sleep on the Phillies. Don't sleep on those Rays, man. The Rays are tough. I know for a fact because they always beat the Yankees.
Yeah, and I mean that's why it's playoff baseball, right? Anything can happen, and that's why we love playoff baseball so much.
And they need it for ratings too, man. Need the
Mhm.
ratings. So the Braves, Astros, that'll get some ratings. Hopefully it's
Yeah,
not Twins and Marlins or something.
and I think it'll be interesting because as we discussed at the beginning of the year, we finally get to see the pitch clock in the postseason, right? All the drama that usually builds in between pitches, that's going to be kind of cut away. So this will be a good feel run to see postseason baseball with the pitch clock. Is it going to be the same? Maybe it'll push the MLB to push it, to 27 seconds, something a little bit longer in between pitches, but I think that'll be another interesting thing to look out for. So we just have a little bit more before we finish up this episode, right, Matt? So we'll just get to our last segments here and we'll call it an episode. So stay tuned. Okay, so I got too excited talking about football earlier. Forgot about the college football stuff. So let's hit the college football real fast as we always do. Got to talk about UH. Uh, Matt, I didn't watch the game. I'll just admit it. Did not watch the game. So UH gets stomped by UNLV in Vegas. Not surprised at all. Um, Maybe we just have to accept it's not going to be the year for us to go bowling. I have to accept that. I don't know, Matt. Did you catch any of the game?
I listened to it for the most part until we had to play our OBL game. And then I watched a little bit of the highlights, but it's just listening to the game, it's so painful, honestly. And we were talking about this over the weekend, but really the one thing that I'm gonna take away from this game is we talk about this a lot, but if you can't stop the run, you're not gonna win. I don't care what level you play at high school, college, the NFL. If you let a team run over you, you got no shot to win. Because it's so easy for a team to just hand the ball off and gain 5 to 10 yards and just methodically get down the field. Right? Passing, okay, if you're going to stack the box and the quarterback just beat you with throws, you got to tip your hat, right? If you're the Dolphins, if Josh Allen just shreds you like that, okay, yeah, tip your hat. If Patrick Mahomes just shreds you, 5 touchdowns, take away, tip your hat. Or Dak Prescott does that, tip your hat. But don't let Tony Pollard run for 200 yards. Don't let a guy like Derrick Henry run for 200 yards. And don't let a team run for 307 yards in
Oh,
college football. Oh my goodness. Like
oh,
300 yards. They average 6.5 yards a carry. For people who don't realize that's really, really bad. Really bad.
That's a first down and two every two runs.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. And they gave up, what did they give up? 44 points.
Yeah.
Like the defense, I just feel like the defense hasn't been up to standard. And then to go on top of that, the offense looks just awful. Well, Tylen Hines is back on the bright side. That's probably the only bright side. But I don't know. For me, the offense, it just seems like UH is trying to get the big play too much. And sometimes they do connect, and I give them credit. They had a flea flicker, nice play drop right there. But we don't have to get a 40-yard, 30-yard touchdown pass every single time to score, right? We can methodically get 5, 10 yards, slowly, methodically move the ball down the field. And especially because our offensive line looks horrible, like horrible. Shager is running for his life all the time, and he's not a mobile guy.
Mm.
Why do you keep putting him in bad situations like that? Yes, some of his decisions aren't the greatest, but if a quarterback has no time to throw and you're drawing up these plays that take 4 or 5 seconds for a receiver to get downfield, what do you expect him to do? So in a way, I kind of feel for Shager. He has to sit in the pocket and let the play develop, but he's just gonna get whacked, and he has nothing to do with it. So if I'm UH, I'm fixing those things. The run defense has been an issue for years now, but you got to get the ball out of Shager's hands quickly. And I feel like against Vanderbilt, it was a good balance. I feel like they were involving Ashlock, those short games, and then they had McBride getting over the top, kind of mixing it in. It's not so much one way or the other. It's got to be more balanced. So good time for a bye. I'm gonna say that for UH, they definitely need a bye week, because they got a lot to work on. So I don't know what you think, but it's kind of hard for me to see. I think, what was their over under for
Or two and
wins?
four,
It
so
wasn't it 4 and was it 4.5 for the
probably.
over under? I don't know. I don't see them getting over 4.5. I think they're gonna hit maybe 3 or 4 wins at this point. It's not looking good.
Yeah, I agree. Well, on to the week after the bye. So
So
hopefully,
tough.
hopefully something changes and we show a little bit more signs of life in the second half. We'll leave it at that with UH. On the other teams, we want to address Oregon took care of business versus Stanford. I don't know how much you want to go into that, but pretty much a blow up.
Yeah, it was a blowout, but it started pretty ugly. They came out flat. Oregon didn't score in the first quarter. Stanford was kind of moving the ball downfield with two quarterbacks playing. So it's like, come on, guys. You guys just played probably the best game you guys could have played against Colorado, and you feed off of that energy and you come out and throw up a goose egg in the first quarter. Like, no disrespect to Stanford, but Oregon is too good to be shut out by a team in a quarter on that caliber. So I think the start was pretty flat, but obviously Bo Nix picks it up, takes care of business. The playmakers get involved. They do their thing. They get settled down. So the overall end result looks good, but I think the start was a little concerning, and especially against better teams that they're going to play later in the season. You can't have that. You're going to lose because they have a bye next week, and the big showdown on October 14th is against UW. They travel to UW. That's a top 10 matchup. That's going to be the real test to see where we stand. I don't think Oregon's going to run the table because I think the Pac-12 is just loaded with talent. But if you can get off on the right note and beat a team that you hate, it's going to get you to where you want to go. So they got 2 weeks to prep for UW. So bring it on. Bring on the Huskies.
Well, that'll be one of the games of the week. I feel like
Oh yeah,
we're
definitely.
getting into the thick of conference play, like you said. Uh, I know Oregon and Washington hate each other, so it'll be a good game to look forward to. Um, yeah, I think it'll be a fun one. Two Heisman candidate trophy contenders, and hopefully a lot of offense because that's what I love to see in college football, right? So winner of that one will definitely, I think, catapult into the top five overall. So big game with a lot of implications on the line. It'll be interesting.
I think
Um,
so.
Also, we got to talk about Colorado and USC. Another masterclass from Caleb Williams, but got stifled a little bit in the second half, fourth quarter. Colorado able to come back. Shadur showing what he can do once again. To me, USC with their defense, just not going to be a contender. But they're going to be a fun watch every time Caleb Williams steps on that field. Good bounce back game though, I thought for Shadur because he kind of showed people he can move a little bit, and even when they're down big, still able to throw the ball really well. But Colorado's weapons on offense, man. I mean, I think
Amarion Miller, his
Amarian
breakout.
Miller, another breakout game for another Colorado player. So still just more things to build on. I know they ended up losing, but brought it all the way back to seven after they're getting blown out in the first half. So good for Colorado again. Nice showing for them. They're always going to be entertaining every single game this year. I think. Um, Probably not going to win the. Actually, they're not going to win the conference, but it'll be they'll be a fun watch all season long. So other than that, Matt, I believe. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about? I didn't really have anything for my state of the 808. I couldn't find anything.
No state of the 808.
Couldn't really find anything other than
Tua.
Tua.
The
So
weekly
yeah,
Tua, the
yeah, the
weekly
weekly
Tua
Tua
update.
stuff. He okay. I would give him like a C for this past game. Not great, but not terrible. So um, other than that, Matt, that's all I've got. If you don't have
All
anything
right.
else,
Yep.
yep.
It's
Sports
time
fact.
to close it out with the sports fact of the day. So I think you're gonna like this one actually. So we are recording on October 2nd, and we'll go back to 2016. And your guy, probably the best broadcaster in baseball history, in my opinion,
I would say so.
Vince Scully called his final Dodger game after 67 years, which is insane. All going all the way back to when they were in Brooklyn. And yeah, that means a lot to me because I grew up watching Vince Scully on TV with my dad being a
Mhm.
huge Dodger fan. So Dodgers channel is always on. So Vince Scully is definitely a guy that I grew up with, made me
Mhm.
love baseball. And I think you said this before, one of the greatest storytellers in the game. And it's really hard to deny that. That's truly a gift that only he has. And he's truly missed in the game of baseball for me.
Well, that's a great sports fact, Matt, because yeah, I also grew up with him, getting the Dodgers channels. I remember going all the way back to I think it was a Chad Bellinger day or Chad
Chad
Billingsley, the
Billingsley, wow,
Chad
that
Billingsley
name.
era when Clayton Kershaw was a rookie. He was this new up and coming guy. Uh, he was a flamethrower back then, throwing like 99 miles an hour. I still remember those days. So yeah, hearing Vin's voice, been through a lot of eras of Dodger baseball, right? The Matt Kemps, the Manny Ramirez's, uh, Adrian Gonzalez era, Andre Ethier era, all that good times as a Dodgers baseball fan. So, yeah, he's definitely a privilege to hear him call games. But yeah, rest in peace, Vin. Um, Hopefully the Dodgers win this one this year for you. So, um, other than that, Matt, I think that's all I got. We went kind of long today. We had a lot to talk about, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, we'll look forward to next week. Hopefully, you have some good stories for us.
Hopefully, I
Uh,
come back alive in one
yes,
piece.
yes. Hope come back safe in one piece. But yeah, have fun up there. Hope you have a good trip. Other than that, everyone, as usual, thank you for listening to us talk about sports. I know it's so much fun for everyone. Um, but yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Have a good week, and we'll see you guys next week.